Hey y'all, why is there such a thing as mercy? Why do we have that? Why did God allow us to have that? I want you to think about the worst moment of your life, or the worst moment of your life that you can remember. The moment that you felt like you were far from God. It doesn't have to be relatively big, it could be anything, but just a moment where you think you were so far away from God and you think it was your darkest moment that you've ever suffered in your life. The thing is, that moment, your darkest moment, doesn't define you. And that's why there's mercy. We talked about a couple weeks ago, we talked about how Simon Peter was arguing with Jesus about his crucifixion. And Jesus said, get behind me, Satan. I mean, you're not concerned with God's things, you're only concerned about the things of this world. That, I say that was a pretty dark moment in Peter's life. Maybe one of the darkest. It's between that and the time he denied Jesus for the darkest moment in his life, I would say. But then you think back to what happened after, where Peter helped save thousands of men and women and children, just when he preached that sermon at Pentecost. That's, like I say, that's why there's mercy, because that dark moment in Peter's life, and whatever dark moment you have gone through, Christ knows it doesn't define you. That's why he came in the first place, actually. He came in the first place because we had a deepest, darkest, most depraved human existence. But he knew that wouldn't define us. He knew we were worth saving. Now, I know the argument some people are going to make. The argument some people are going to make against that, which isn't really an argument if you think about it, but the argument people are going to try to make against that is, well, in your darkest moments, in your anger or whatever, at the height of whatever emotional spectrum you're on, we can see the real you. And I can kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, that is absolutely wrong. Not only factually wrong, it's biblically wrong. Because you think about all the people in Scripture that were spiritually bankrupt, were at the lowest point, or seemingly at the lowest point of their existence. But we think about how God brought them up. And from that, we can learn, well, if God can bring those people up from their seemingly darkest, most depraved moment, I mean, there's truly nothing he can't do. There's no reason he can't do the same with me, or do the same with what I'm. There's no reason he can't do the same as me, really. That's why I have such a problem with modern society and this modern And this modern term, maybe some of you've heard about it. It's mostly a term I think that it's been streaming out now, but it's known as cancel culture, or as some people like to call it, to defend that cancel culture doesn't exist. They pretend that it doesn't exist. They call it consequence culture. And I don't have a problem with consequences. I don't. But the thing is, that's not what it that's not what it does most of the time. What people do that sideline, that veil of self-righteousness and so forth, they find something you've done in your past, maybe long ago in your past, not even relevant stuff. They find really past stuff that you've done, and then they harass you and they hound you about it and everything. But why have a problem with that? Like I said, I don't have a problem with consequences for people who deserve them. But why have a problem with that is there's no room for mercy, and there's no room for grace in that. Now, mercy and grace aren't the same thing, but they do kind of go hand in hand. Mercy is not getting what you do deserve. Grace is getting what you don't deserve. So they do kind of go hand in hand. But the deepest parts, the darkest parts of yourself that you think define you, and maybe it's the wolves that define you a little bit. It doesn't. I mean, God can still redeem you, just like He redeemed Paul, just like He redeemed Saul, just like He redeemed Moses, just like He redeemed Nebuchadnezzar and most, and just countless others that I can't even begin to think of right now. But Christ's mercy and Christ's grace is sufficient for everyone, and sufficient for every single situation. And the sooner I think people realize that, and people realize Christ's capacity for mercy and Christ's capacity for grace, maybe even on the most unworthy of people. I mean, I think just the better off they'll be for it, because that's what we need more of. We need more grace and mercy, and we need more understanding, and we need to be more sensitive to people's situations, more willing to give chances. Now, don't misunderstand me. When I say that, I'm not saying give innumerable chances. I mean, you see, even God wanted to have limits with people, but especially in the Old Testament. But people as Christ loved them, and that means that you showing some sensitivity, and some semblance of mercy, and some semblance of grace, because Christ thought you were saving, and honored you. You're not much better than anybody else. You're in the same boat that everybody else is. Christ's mercy and grace reigns supreme. It's sufficient for all, even if in your mind, you think some people don't even deserve it. Or there was a point where you didn't deserve it either, but tried to reach and say to you, guys, I love you. God bless you. I'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll be praying for you.